Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nur Zambri and you're watching Updates at Noon. Making the headlines today, government to solve people's fraud issues through Malaysia Madani concept. Jacinda Ardern replaced as New Zealand Prime Minister at official ceremony. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who is on two-day visit to Brunei, held a meeting and attended a dinner with the Malaysian diaspora last night. In the event held at the Malaysian High Commission here, he also delivered his mandate as well as participated in a dialogue session. Speaking to over 400 people present, Datuk Seri Anwar, who was sworn in as the Prime Minister in November last year, gave an insight into his plans for the country. This includes the Malaysia Madani concept, which he introduced on 19 January as an effort to improve the dignity of the people and the country on the global stage. The Premier also told the floor that he does not want the government to merely come up with the slogans without having a true appreciation of them. He noted that the focus is now on driving economic growth with priority in the states while looking at new economic sectors. During the dialogue session, Datuk Seri Anwar said in general he will continue good policies implemented by the previous government even if they were introduced by parties he does not agree with, although he added that matters involving large contracts will be studied further. On ties with Brunei, he said Malaysia has the opportunity to cooperate with the country in various fields.
Perbincangan kita, kalau kita usahakan untuk merapatkan dan memanfaatkan hubungan yang baik di antara dua negara ini, itu keutamaan saya. Kita hukum dia care, compassion, sustainability yang bunyi indah-indah. Itu pelaksanaannya di mana? Di rumah tangga kita dan jiran kita. Sebab itu saya mula rumah tangga, kemudian jiran. Jadi di antara jiran ini Brunei yang sangat penting.
The Malaysia Madani concept is not merely a slogan, but will be translated into the government's efforts to solve the problems faced by the people and create a better nation. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fazil said the concept would serve as a guide for all ministers and the respective ministries to achieve the key performance indicators KPI set. Elaborating further on the matter, Fahmi also said that the KPI is not about the number of the programs implemented by each ministry, but instead it will be assessed by people's satisfaction with the services or program quality in helping to solve their problems. Regarding the KPI for the Communications and Digital Ministry, Fahmi said internet access and telecommunications problems faced by the people are the main issues that will be given attention and resolved.
Kita mulakan dulu dengan mengurangkan harga internet prabaya mudah alih. Seterusnya, saya dah target internet jalur lebar yang fixed line.
Okey.
Dan selepas itu ada beberapa perkara lain, termasuklah masalah drop call ni yang sering berlaku.
A total of 7.44 million premises, or 95.82%, had fibre connectivity with 4G coverage as of the third quarter of 2022. MCMC is confident that it will be able to achieve 97% of Phase 1 of the National Digital Network Plan Jendela by year's end. On another note, Fahmi said the ministry is expected to announce the introduction and implementation of 5G by Digital Nasional Berhad (DNB) with added features by end of March. He said that DNB is currently studying and evaluating the available options to ensure the implementation would not just achieve an 80% success, but will be expanded throughout the country.
Okey.
Kita nak pastikan tak ada kesan yang negatif kepada kewangan negara, dan bacaan saya, kita harap menjelang 2025 kita akan dapat capai sekurang-kurangnya 80% ya, apa yang disebut sebagai coverage of populated areas ataupun COPA.
Fahmi said the implementation of the 5G was to assist companies and factories to gain efficient and fast communication services, because fast and efficient services can help improve productivity as well as offer efficient service to the public. Meanwhile, referring to issues of personal security and online scammer, Fahmi said KKD aspires to turn the Personal Data Protection Department into a statutory department to carry out its functions more efficiently. He said the agency under KKD will become among important departments that need to be strengthened to serve more effectively in issues of personal data leakage. In the issue of security for personal data and handling the issue of scammers, Fahmi said the current laws need to be enhanced and the structure of policy, because currently at least 4 ministries are responsible in the issue.
Okay.
The recent ministerial delegation to Italy, led by the International Trade and Industry Meeting Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tunku Abdul Aziz from 20 to 23rd of January, has attracted potential foreign direct investments FDIs worth 3.25 billion ringgit. In a statement released, the Malaysian Investment Development Authority (MIDA) said the FDIs, which are expected to be released from 2023 onwards, were due to Malaysia's strategic location as a gateway to ASEAN and the Asia-Pacific region. Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said the Italian companies had expressed their interest to invest in various fields, including the chemical industry, green technologies, e-economy, smart technologies and Industrial Revolution 4.0 value chains. He said in line with the government's commitment to being pro-business, pro-investment and pro-trade, MITI and its agencies are ready and prepared to enhance ties with investors to bring in high-tech and quality investments that will help create better paying jobs for Malaysians. The minister also noted that the key now is to address all the pain points in the investor's journey to improve the overall ease of doing business in Malaysia. During the visit, the minister engaged with several influential business leaders and potential investors through one-on-one business meetings. Italy is Malaysia's 9th largest foreign investors from the European Union. According to MIDA, as of September 2022, a total of 77 manufacturing projects with Italian participation have been implemented, with a total investments of $382 million, creating 4,346 jobs. The Consulate General of the Republic of Indonesia, KGRI, in Johor Bahru and the Johor government plan to set up a task force to explore opportunities for cooperation, including in the economy and investment between the two parties. Consulate General Sigit S. Widianto said the idea of establishing the task force was the result of his meeting with Menteri Besar Dato' Onn Hafiz Ghazi recently. Sigit said through the task force, investment potential in various sectors will be identified between Indonesia and Johor. He said previously there was no special cooperation as such between KGRI Johor Bahru and Johor, when both have great potential, including facilitating the entry of interested investors. He also said that at the moment, both parties are studying the economic sectors that can be involved. Hopefully by next month, there will be an official meeting between KGRI, the Menteri Besar, as well as some Johor Executive Committee members to further discuss the areas of cooperation. Sigit said Indonesia also welcomes those interested in investing in its new capital, Nusantara, in East Kalimantan, which is being developed since last year and is expected to be completed in 2045. He added that many areas of cooperation can be set up in Nusantara, including in infrastructure, housing, education, health and commercial. The excitement of camping at a campsite in the Kota Tinggi district turned into a horrible moment when about 25 people were stranded in Tanjung Lompat due to floods yesterday. Penawar Fire and Rescue Station Chief Masri Ibrahim said a distress call was received and 9 officers were rushed to the scene to help flood victims. He said that the drainage and irrigation bank, which is the main gateway in and out of the campsite, collapsed due to rising flood water, causing the floor to be over 6 meters wide. The situation also made it difficult for vehicles to get out of the area. The Penawar Fire and Rescue Station Chief noted that the fire department then opened an alternative route nearby the hotel so that stranded vehicles can use the coastal road to exit to the main road. Mastri said the victims, comprising 12 men, 11 women, 7 boys and 5 girls, were then advised to pack up and return to their respective homes. He added that said as many as 16 vehicles that were stranded at the site managed to use an alternative route, and the operation ended at 7:40 p.m. Foreign segment, DOJ sues Google over its dominance in online advertising market. Jacinda Ardern was officially replaced today as New Zealand Prime Minister after stunning the country by announcing her abrupt departure from the role last week. New Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, 44, was sworn in by New Zealand's Governor-General during a ceremony in the capital, Wellington. Hipkins, after formally taking office, said this is the biggest privilege and responsibility of his life and is energized and excited by the challenges ahead. Ardern said last week she no longer had enough in the tank after steering the country through natural disasters, its worst ever terror attack and the COVID-19 pandemic. She made her last public appearance as Prime Minister earlier today, walking out of Parliament as hundreds of onlookers broke into a spontaneous round of applause. Her centre-left government has increasingly struggled over the past 2 years, hampered by soaring inflation, a looming recession and a resurgent Conservative opposition. Hipkins, the architect of New Zealand's pandemic response, is now tasked with reviving the government's ageing popularity ahead of a general election in October. The father of 2 is nicknamed Chippy and describes himself as a regular, ordinary Kiwi from a working-class background who loves sausage rolls and cycling to work. At least 3 people were killed and dozens were feared trapped after a 4-story building collapse in India. The state's Deputy Chief Minister Brajesh Patak late on Tuesday also confirmed that 3 people had been killed in the accident in the northern city of Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh state. Director General of Police of Uttar Pradesh, D.S. Chauhan, said rescue workers pulled 12 people, including 2 children, out of the rubble of the residential apartment block, but more were feared trapped inside. Chauhan added that at least 12 more people were feared trapped as rescue workers sought to clear rubble and debris from the site. Chauhan said the collapse appeared to be the effect of an earthquake that occurred earlier in the day. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake struck western Nepal on Tuesday afternoon, around 440 kilometers from Lucknow. Blocks of brick and concrete were piled up as police teams and machines were removing the rubble to search for people as the relatives waited near the collapse site. According to Chauhan, a total of 24 people were feared trapped when the building collapsed. Building collapsing have become common in India, particularly during the seasonal monsoon rains due to old and often illegal construction. The United States, in reversal, is poised to start a process that would eventually send dozens of M1 Abrams air-to-air tanks to Ukraine. Such a decision by the United States would come just days after Washington argued against sending the Abrams despite demands from Kyiv and public pressure from Berlin as it faced calls to send German-made Leopard battle tanks. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said an announcement could come as early as today, while a third source familiar with the matter said the U.S. commitment could total about 30 Abrams tanks to be delivered over the coming months. The 2 officials said the Abrams would likely be procured through a fund known as the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative's USAI, which allows President Joe Biden's administration to get weapons from industry rather than from existing U.S. weapon stores. One of the officials said it was possible the Biden administration could use the USAI process to buy the Abrams from allies who have them, refurbish them, and then send them to Ukraine. The process can take months and even years. Ukraine says heavily armored Western battle tanks would give its troops more mobility and protection ahead of a new Russian offensive that Kyiv expects in the near future. They could also help Ukraine retake some of their territory that has fallen to Russia. The U.S. Justice Department sued Alphabet's Google on Tuesday, accusing the company of abusing its dominance of the digital advertising business. It also said Google should be forced to sell its ad manager suite in the government's latest jab at thwarting big tech's market power. The lawsuit tackles a business at Google that is responsible for 80% of its revenue. The Justice Department asked the court to compel Google to break up its ad technology business. The antitrust complaint said Google has used anti-competitive, exclusionary, and unlawful means to eliminate or severely diminish any threat to its dominance over digital advertising technologies. The federal government has said it is trying to level the playing field for rivals to big tech companies, including Amazon.com, Facebook owner Meta Platforms, and Apple Inc. Tuesday's lawsuit by the administration of President Joe Biden follows a 2020 antitrust lawsuit brought against Google during the term of Donald Trump. The 2020 lawsuit alleged violations of antitrust law in how the company acquires or maintains its dominance with its monopoly on online search and is scheduled to go to trial in September. Twitter's British landlord said on Tuesday it is taking the social media to court for not paying rent on its central office. The Crown Estate, a company that manages land and property belonging to the British monarchy, said it has launched legal action at the High Court for rental arrears on an office space close to Piccadilly Circus. A representative said that it had contacted Twitter previously and is currently in discussions with the company. Elon Musk, the billionaire CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, bought Twitter for $44 billion in October last year. He sacked half of the staff and reportedly stopped paying rent for office space to try to raise funds after taking on massive debt to buy the company. The San Francisco Chronicle reported on Monday that the landlord of Twitter's San Francisco headquarters has sued the company for allegedly failing to pay almost $6.8 million in rent for December and January. Twitter has a London office in a complex on Eyre Street, whose landlord is the Crown Estate. The Daily Telegraph reported that Twitter's sign and logos have been removed, but a member of staff said the company was still present there. French police on Tuesday detained for questioning Rugby Federation President Bernard Laporte as part of an investigation into suspected tax fraud. Earlier this month, Laporte stepped back from his role at the FFR without resigning after being convicted of unrelated corruption charges 9 months before France hosts the Rugby World Cup. The most recent investigation dates back to August 2020. Tuesday's incident comes that almost 2,000 French rugby clubs are voting on whether to accept Laporte's appointed interim president Patrick Buisson, with the results expected on Thursday. Former France head coach Laporte, who has been in office since 2016, was found guilty on 13 of December of 5 of the 6 offences for which he was prosecuted, including corruption and favouritism. Laporte received a 2-year suspended prison sentence. He was also banned from holding any rugby post for 2 years, but this is suspended pending his appeal. In the wake of his conviction, Laporte stepped down from his role as vice chairman of the sport's global governing body, World Rugby, pending a review by its ethics officer. The Rugby World Cup, the sport's global showpiece event, kicks off in Paris on 8th of September. Coming up in sports, Speedy Tigers ready for next hunt after spleen pain. The national hockey team have managed to get over the agony of their defeat in the crossover against Spain on Sunday and are ready to bounce back against South Africa in the 9th to 16 classification match in the 2023 Hockey World Cup in India tomorrow. The classification match against South Africa will be played at the Birsa Muda Stadium in Rokhela. In a video clip, the Malaysian Hockey Confederation (MHC) shared with the media, team manager Datuk Mirawan Nawawi said the national players are back in a positive mood despite their failure to advance to the quarter-finals after a sudden death penalty shootout loss to Spain.
Perkara-perkara sebegini boleh berlaku di sepanjang kejohanan. Tetapi apa yang penting adalah pemain-pemain mereka mampu sebenarnya untuk bounce back dan juga refokus kepada tugas dan juga tanggungjawab yang seterusnya. Dan ketika ini fokus harus diberikan kepada perlawanan menentang Afrika Selatan.
He said the players have resumed training yesterday, having undergone their rest and recovery session after their 1-hour flight from Bubasnewa to Rokeela. Looking ahead to Thursday's match, Malaysia do seem to have the upper hand, on paper at least, as they are ranked 10th in the world and South Africa are ranked 15. The country's top-ranked men's doubles pair, Aaron Chia-Hanso-Huyig, move up to second spot in the latest Badminton World Federation BWF ranking list released yesterday after accumulating 84,518 points from 16 championships participated. Based on the latest ranking release, Aaron and Huyik are one spot behind the Indonesian pair Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto, who remain at the top with 92,855 points. The Malaysian pair moved up to second spot, the highest in their career, after a fine performance at the just-ended India Open in New Delhi, where the pair finished in the runner-up spot, losing to a Chinese pair. Just like the country's top men's doubles pair, the country's top-ranked women's doubles pair, Pioli Tan and M. Tina, also made positive progress in the BWF World Rankings by climbing 2 spots and moved into 6th spot after amassing 69,955 points from 16 championships. Meanwhile, the country's number 1 men's single player, Lee Zijia, suffered a minor setback, slipping 2 spots down to 4th after suffering early exits in recent tournaments and managing to accumulate only 76,588 points. Zijia's loss was Indonesian Anthony Srisuka Ginting's gain as the Indonesian moved into second spot, while his compatriot Jonathan Christie took third spot. Victor Esselsen from Denmark retained his world number 1 spot. Stefanos Tsitsipas reached the Australian Open semi-finals for the 4th time as the Greek saw off rising Czech Jiří Lehečka 6-3, 7-6, 6-4 on Tuesday. In the women's singles, Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina also advanced into the Australian Open semi-finals after mastering Jelena Ostapenko 6-2, 6-4 in a one-sided contest on Rod Laver Arena. The Russian-born Kazakh looked sharp from the start, and only a 25-minute delay to close the stadium roof against a passing shower prevented her from wrapping up the opening set within a half an hour of arriving on court. Former French Open champion Ostapenko looked unable to cope with Rybakina's pace at the start of the second. Rybakina, who outstood top seed Iga Swiatek in the 4th round, broke straight back, however, saved 4 break points with some brilliant tennis in the next game to consolidate. The 23-year-old rode the momentum to break. Bayern Munich's Joshua Kimmich thundered in a 19th-minute equalizer to rescue a 1-all draw against Cologne, staying 4 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. But were far less effective than their opponents, who looked to be snatching the 3 points scored. All right, that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, government to solve people's issues through Malaysia Madani concept. We'll leave you now with visuals of an enormous 3D printer weighing more than 12 tons, steadily building the first 3D printed 2-story home in the United States. Till then, I'm Nur Zamri. Thank you for watching.